Hello and welcome to another session of the CVRD's 2023 budget public meetings. My name is Chris Schumacher. I'm the Manager of Communications and Engagement for the CVRD, and very happy to be hosting and facilitating this meeting from the traditional unceded territories of Coast Salish peoples. Very happy to be joined by some of my colleagues and members of the public this evening for this meeting on the evening of February 9th, 2023. With me this evening, I have our CAO, Danielle Miles-Wilson. We have our General Manager of Corporate Services, Barb Mohan, as well as our Manager of Finance, Tracy Bowen, who will be leading a presentation this evening to describe the budget specific to our areas in the north end of the region, G and H, as well as the town of Ladysmith. Before we kick off the presentation, I just want to run through a little housekeeping for those who are in attendance in this virtual platform. Once the presentation is concluded, we'll engage in a question and answer period. There is a question and answer function within our WebEx platform here that you'll see on the right-hand side. And that is the field where we hope that you will enter in any questions that you have, and we'll endeavor to answer those to the best of our ability this evening. You'll also see a chat function where you can send messages to everybody or directly to the panelists or the host, myself, if you're experiencing any technical issues or there's something that you need to communicate directly, please use that. But for the questions, we hope you'll use the Q&A function to do so. A note that the meeting is being recorded, and we will have a recording of the meeting posted to our website and on our YouTube channel, where people can go and view this after the fact. So thank you to anybody who's tuning in anytime in February prior to the adoption of the budget to learn more about what's being proposed right now. With that, I also would be remiss to acknowledge that we have in attendance, gosh, let me pull up it here. We have Area Director for Area H, Director Martman, in attendance. Thank you very much for tuning into the meeting and being a part of this process. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Tracy.
I'll need the ability to show. Perfect.
There you go.
Thank you. Okay. What do you see? Do you see the 2023 budget, or do you see my notes?
Nope, we can see it. Looks good.
Okay, looks good. Okay, just on a different screen this time. Hi, I'm Tracy Bowen. I'm the Manager of Financial Planning here at the Cowichan Valley Regional District. I'm just giving you a high level of the 2023 draft budget. The Cowichan Valley Regional District has 4 municipalities and 9 electoral areas. And for the 2023 budget, we have 178 separate services. And our population now is 89,000 people. There are a number of competing challenges and expectations that the board must balance when setting the 2023 budget, including how to meet the needs of the public under increasing financial constraints, increased downloading from other levels of government resulting in increased pressure to provide additional services, aging infrastructure and increasing construction costs that exceed consumer price inflation, legislation changes and higher requirements of standards of care that put increasing cost pressures on existing services, and increasing non-controllable expenditures such as hydro and insurance. The CVRD provides a variety of services to different partners, and therefore the impact of our budgeting process on each electoral area or municipality is different. For example, the cost of the average home in electoral area G, which participates in 27 functions, is $909.30. But the average home in Ladysmith, which participates in 20 functions, is $545. and Area G also has 3 specified areas services encompassing a variety of services such as recreation and fire protection. To complicate matters, some services are provided directly by the CVRD, others in partnership with other organizations, and some take the form of grants to organizations that provide the service in that area. The CVRD does not provide education, sidewalks, curbs and gutters, roads, policing, healthcare, and highways. These are all provincial services or municipality in the case of roads and policing in North Cowichan. For most of the services, taxation is allocated based on assessed value. Each member municipality and electoral areas share in the calculated based on assessment values that are provided by BC Assessment and within the distribution between property classes in determining using a fixed ratio that is mandatory under provincial legislation. Requisition represented almost 38% of the total revenue for 2022. The funding for each service is determined in the establishment bylaw, and with so many services, there are a wide variety of funding mixes used. We can, however, broadly characterize the main types of services funding as regional, electoral area, sub-regional services, and specified area services. Regional services are funded based on an assessment for all 13 jurisdictions within the regional district and are typically services that benefit the entire region, such as solid waste or general government. Electoral area services are specified to the rural areas only and are therefore shared by all participating electoral areas on an assessment basis with no municipality funding participation. An example of this is community planning, where the CVRD performs a function for the electoral areas, but not the municipalities. The X on the chart indicates that the entire area participates, while an O is a portion of that area. Sub-regional services, many of our services are sub-regional in nature, in that they provide a service for certain areas within the CVRD, and funding is shared by those participating partners, normally on an assessment basis. For example, Safer Futures. And again, the X's mean the whole area participates, the O means only a portion of that area. Specified areas are set up to fund services that are provided to a number of properties that do not participate or represent the entire electoral, in that these functions are established in response to a petition by property owners to provide the service. A service area is established to encompass the properties that receive the service, and this is such as fire protection. While taxation is a major component of the CVRD's revenue base, the CVRD has a few other revenue streams, non-taxation revenue streams that are considered as part of the budget process include user fees and charges, permit fees and licensing fees, reserve funds, which come from capital and operating reserves, grants, and proceeds from borrowing. As mentioned, service funded with other revenues sources include the Community Health Network, municipal MFA debt, curbside, garbage and recycling services, sewer, water, and some of the streetlight services. The current budget approach is incremental, meaning that the current activities and staffing levels are considered to be core and used as a baseline for the upcoming budget. This approach uses the core expenditures as a basis for the preparation of the draft budget, with requests to changes to existing service levels be treated as supplemental requests to the commissions and committees for their consideration. Core expenditures are defined as those that are required to maintain the current levels of staffing, services, and capital, including reallocation of services within operational budgets that do not require an increase in requisition. Supplemental requests for the purpose of budgeting are defined as items that are additions to current staffing and or service levels, and any capital that requires an increase to requisition or user fees. This includes purchases or constructions of new capital, the addition of part-time and full-time staffing positions, and changes to programs or services requiring increases to user fee or requisition. For the 2023 budget, there was no mandate provided by the board. The board has had budget meetings in 2023 and has considered all supplemental requests. After each meeting, the CVRD budget website is updated to reflect the decisions made at each meeting. With the decisions made to date, the budget increase includes a requisition increase of 11.7%. The board will then hold a meeting on February 23rd and March 1st to review all the decisions that have been made and propose any future changes that the budget before the final plan comes on in March. The increase to requisition is described as a total number. However, as mentioned previously, the effects on individual properties varies based on a number of factors, including property assessment and property location. Only the participants in the service area contribute to the cost of providing those services. This slide shows the impact of each municipality electoral area on the proposed 2023 budget, which is core and supplementals. So in electoral area G, H, and the town of Ladysmith, the largest changes are from general government and regional recreation. The electoral areas will see an increase for the Vancouver Island Regional Library and Planning. In Area G, the average home will see an increase of $135.62. This chart, which is available on the CVRD website, shows how the tax requisition is broken down by function. And the green is like the increase, red, there's a bit of a decrease. So for Area H, the average home will see an increase of $149.90. In the town of Ladysmith, the average home will see an increase of $157.62. This is the location of the 2023 draft budget on the CVRD website. So it lists all sorts of stuff on it. A number of detailed schedules are available on the CVRD website. So this is the schedules that are listed there. Schedule A represents the changes in tax requisition. It only shows services that have a change and details the amount of the change for that service. Down at the very bottom is the total difference between the general tax requisition of 2022 to 2023. This does not include any changes to local area services, which only affect the specified defined areas. Schedule B shows the change in tax requisition by jurisdiction. The change due to other jurisdictions columns reflects the increase in the library requisition. Also, down at the bottom is the increase in the local service tax, such as the fire services. So that's down here. And Schedule C shows a change of requisition going back to 2016. So this is all the different requisition changes that happened, the rates that happened. Schedule D has a page for each jurisdiction. It lists only the services that the area participates in and shows the change for that service. Down at the bottom, it includes the local service area taxes applicable for that jurisdiction and the change in those as well. Schedule E also has a page for each jurisdiction and shows the impact on an average home in that area. Schedule F is a summary of the short and long-term debt. The schedule on the website is not yet up to date for the 2022 year end, as we're still in the process of completing year end. The schedule will be updated once that has been completed. Similar to Schedule F, Schedule G has not yet been updated for 2022. Finance does not usually transfer funds to capital reserves until the end of the year. The schedule will be updated once year end has been completed. And this one's operating reserves. And the same again, we don't update it until we're completed year end. Schedule 8 shows assessment by jurisdiction for 3 years. The 2023 completed roll is used for the 2023 budget calculations. Schedule I shows how the requisition for an area is split between the property classes. And again, there is a one for each electoral area and municipality. Schedule J shows a cost of a $100,000 home and shows a portion of the total assessment represented by each area. Parcel taxes for sewer and water systems are shown on Schedule K. And user fees for sewer and water systems on Schedule L. It is important to note that an increase to parcel tax or user fees for a service does not necessarily mean an increase to the property owner. In many cases, new properties have been added to the service, thus increasing the total amount collected without having to impact on individual properties. Also on our website, we have a hyperlink for every function within the CVRD. So there's the first page on there is a summary page, and it gives a description of the service, lists the amount being requisitioned for 2023, the maximum amount that can be requisitioned, and then who participates into that function. So these are the participants, how much they're asking for, and then how it gets broken out between all the different areas. The next, this is all one group. The next page on here is it has a 5-year plan for the same function. So it'll be the next page, and it shows a 5-year. We also include the previous year as a reference, and then we do it the 5 years. Then lastly, we have from our budgeting software, and we show the actual expenses for 2020 and 2021, budgeted for 2022, and then the proposed budget for 2023. So all of this can be found on our CVRD website under the 2023 draft budget. And that is it.
Thank you, Tracy. Very much appreciated. I would now like to open it up for questions from residents who are in attendance. Again, point out that we have the Q&A function that you'll see if you're joining us from a device and not just calling in. You can enter in questions there, and again, we'll pose those to our finance guru here, but also have obviously both Barb and Danielle here to add anything and hopefully give a fulsome answer. We'll also note that we are compiling questions received through the budget meetings, and they will form part of the report that will go to the Committee of the Whole meeting on February 23rd. Do I have that date right? Yes, okay, good. So, oh yeah, give it a minute or two for anybody in attendance to add a question in, and because we have somewhat of a small group, I may go through the list and unmute participants and allow them to potentially ask a question in their own words, which is always nice. Seeing none, I'm feeling very encouraged that the presentation is well received and done a fantastic job in explaining, Tracy. But we're not seeing anything. I'm going to go through the list really quickly. We'll start with Aaron. Aaron, I've unmuted you. Do you have any questions that you want to ask this evening?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Tracy. Lots of work you had to do. Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. I'll go next to Joanne. Joanne, you're unmuted. Do you have a question for anybody this evening?
No, I just wanted to hear the presentation. I really like how everything's laid out very nicely on the website and links to the particular documents of interest. So I think it's really great. Thanks.
Wonderful, thank you. I will go next to Lynn. Lynn, do you have a question this evening?
Yes, I do. Can you hear me?
Sure can, yeah.
Okay. So at the board meeting on the 13th of April 2022, there was a board resolution regarding the that staff prepare a report outlining potential additional work and cost estimates for the 2023 budget year, including the expansion of the coastal slope stability assessment to other areas in the region with similar geometric characteristics, including portions of North Cowichan, Cowichan Bay, and Mill Bay, in order to identify risks to communities and infrastructure. B, more detailed subsurface geotechnical investigation of the Saltaire study area to better refine the recommended setback area. And C, a review of stormwater discharges within the Saltaire study area and development of a stormwater management plan. And I'm just wondering if that's included in this budget. I did send an email to Kate Miller and I haven't heard back. So how would we find out if that was included in this budget of 2023?
Great. Thank you for the question, Lynn. Tracy, do you want to take a stab at answering that, or is there Barb? Do you want to?
I can try. So thank you, Lynn. Yeah, I think you're on the right track with contacting Kate. I can certainly, I'm not sure why you haven't received a response, but I can certainly follow up with that department myself and find out. So one of the characteristics of the budget process is that we kind of do a synopsis of any changes year over year, but we don't, the budget process itself doesn't detail the annual work plans for each department or division. So, but it's a good question and one that we can follow up on and get back to you about.
The other thing I'll mention, as Lynn might be familiar with too, is the list. The list of each function includes a year-over-year analysis showing increase and decrease, which does list off some projects for each function. So there are floodplain items in there, but yes, Kate would have to speak to the specific project as Ms. Mohan already mentioned.
Okay, well, thank you both for that answer, and hopefully we'll be able to provide that response via direct communication. But it's noted, and thanks for the question, Lynn. I won't unmute Tammy because she did submit a question via the Q&A, and it is: can you explain how the percentage is calculated for Area G? As is 17.88% equals $135 increase on an $800,000 assessment. And I assume she's wondering if that's if she's interpreting that to be if that's accurate.
That is accurate with the information that we have with what budgets have been approved to date. We have a worksheet that we use to calculate those numbers. I'm just trying to find that. We used to put percentages in, we took it out because in that number, it doesn't have everything in it. Like that's an average home, but we don't include the local specified areas like fire and water and different ones that each plug into those ones. So that number doesn't have everything in it. It's just like a general guide.
So I'm wondering, Tracy, or maybe we can get a little bit more clarification on the question, because the question is how is a percentage calculated for Area G? And so I guess Tracy, is it correct that the assessment value for the area that is listed in Schedule E is like the average assessment for all of the reported house assessments for that, or property assessments for that area, right? So that's why we use the approximately $800,000 figure, right?
Yeah, so like if you're looking at the requisition comparison to looking at the slide that breaks out each area by the numbers, those are kind of two different factors that come into there. Like this one, we're basing it, like this is basing it on 800,000 is like the average home for that area. The 135 is what that Area G is going to be paying into all those functions. The percentage is based on like as a total number. So that's why it can't correlate that. You're not gonna pay like you can't say that it's gonna be 17.88% is what your increase is gonna be, because there's other factors coming into play when it actually goes to, we send it off to the province and the province calculates it.
Right. So, and it
They're
also
two different-
depends for individual households, what services
Yes.
they subscribe to might be different. So this is sort of an
Yes.
average assessment, but it might be different for your individual household. So,
Yes.
okay. And then I'm not sure, Tammy, if you have found Schedule E on the website, but it gives a really nice breakdown around that $135 where the increases are. So for Area G, you'll see a lot of it is due to regional recreation. And then some other larger increases are around, it looks like, community parks, general government. So you can sort of see the breakdown on that Schedule E.
Thank you, Tracy and Barb, for that. I'm unmuting Tammy right now. Tammy, has that sufficiently answered your question? Tammy, I'm not sure if you have your mic for your device connected to the meeting, but you're able to speak if you do right now. Oh, did you reply through the? There we go. Oh, doesn't have a working. Okay. All right. I think
So
the question's been answered sufficiently.
Yeah, if not, just maybe put up a follow-up in the Q&A and we'll try and answer it more fully if we didn't get to what you're after.
All right. Well, we've moved through the list here for questions. We can, we'll remind that questions can be emailed after the fact, whether you're if you're tuning in anytime after February 9th when this was recorded. You can always email a question to finance@cvrd.bc.ca related to the budget, and our finance staff will do their best to provide you with an answer to any inquiries you have, or point you on to where you'll find that information that you're seeking within all of those budget documents that are posted there. Okay, I see another question come in. So between 2015 and 2023, there's been a 67% increase for Area G. And how does this compare for all CVRD jurisdictions?
I would have to do a comparison to see the increase, because there is quite a few that have gone up quite a bit. So without having that information, like, I can see where Lynn has gotten it from, but I would have to do an analysis on that to see. But everybody's been going up steadily.
So she's probably referring to Schedule C, correct? Yeah,
Correct.
so
Correct.
yeah, we wouldn't be able to calculate the percentage on the fly, but could, yeah, after the fact.
Okay. I'll just give another minute here for any further questions to come in. But very much appreciate those questions that have been posed so far, and those in attendance, the interest in the budget. It's always nice to see members of the public engaging with us on this really important topic. So I see your follow-up, Tammy. Yes, if not, if you look at Schedule E and have further questions, definitely direct those, probably via email is the best way to do so. And again, it's finance@cvrd.bc.ca. and I believe that's monitored by multiple people within the finance department. And given the timeliness of the budget, I assume that an answer will be provided post haste if submitted through that format.
So I'd like to add for Tammy, because Schedule E is our attempt to put a lot of information that's really useful in one kind of graphic. But we sort of sometimes run out of room on the actual page to make it look nice and tidy. So one of the misunderstandings we sometimes get about this is in the bars, these different bars, you'll see at the end of each one, there is a number, and that number is a dollar figure, actually, not a percentage. So that's just, we just have eliminated the dollar signs in front of each of those numbers because it made it look a little bit crowded. So what you're seeing is, for instance, if you look at general government for area G, there's a number in the green bar, which is 19.83, which means that for 2023, the average $800,000 home will pay $19.83 more for general government than they did in 2022. So just wanted to be clear that those are dollar figures, and that the bottom axis is also overall dollar figures. So, and then the color code's really just telling you if something went up or down as compared to 2022.
Thanks for that clarification, Barb.
And also, if you look at Schedule D has where we get that number from, and then there'll be the specified areas at the bottom that are not included in Schedule E. So there's a few things that we couldn't, because when you do the average home, you're just doing the one that the majority of people all pay into, where the specified areas is just a few. And I was able to do a quick thing here for Lynn. So yes, you're very competitive to everybody else. The only one that was a low one was Area F, but town of Ladysmith was 123% increase from 2015 to 2023. So you're in the mix of that average. There's only one low one and one super high one.
Thanks for crunching those numbers on the fly for us, Tracy. Well, wonderful. I don't see any other questions coming in, so I think with that, we'll end the meeting for this evening. I'll thank my colleagues for making yourselves available to present this information and answer questions this evening. Thanks to all the residents who attended, and for anybody who's tuning into this after the fact to learn more about this. Again, please send emails to finance@cvrd.bc.ca. And definitely tune in to live stream of the Committee of the Whole meeting on February 23rd, where the budget will be considered once again.
Chris, it's actually, just for clarity, it's a special board.
Special board, sorry,
Okay.
on February 23rd. And yes, and I do also want to thank our elected official, Director Martman, for joining us this evening and being able to hear the presentation and any questions that were asked. So yes, once again, thanks everyone, and the video will be available online tomorrow on our website. Have a wonderful evening, morning, afternoon, depending on when you're seeing this, and we hope to hear from you guys soon.